Joining us now is the former Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy. Welcome to you, Speaker. First of all, it was great to see you last night at Tim and Mindy's wedding. You sat with Kamala Harris. You sat in the room with her. You're both Californian. Some political rankings have her as the most liberal member of the Senate. So how would you prosecute the case against her politically?
Okay, to be clear, I did not sit with her at the wedding. She wasn't at Tim Scott's wedding, but I do know her well, and it was good to see you there, and congratulations to Tim and Mindy. But I've known her for a long time, and the one thing that always happens with Kamala Harris is she starts a campaign really strong. Even for president, 40,000 people turned out, but she had to drop out before Iowa. Every time she gets into a race, if it's a long race, she fails. Now, this is a very short race, so it's different. I don't know how she goes about it. She is the most liberal person ever to run for president. She was the most liberal ranked in the Senate, and that's Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders. They're to the right of her. She's the furthest left. And then if you watched when she was a vice president, she was put in charge of a few items. Internet across the country, she failed. They haven't done one thing with that yet. The border, she failed miserably through there. And when she was a DA, and then when she was Attorney General, but she was Soros's prosecutor. She was the start of the movement not to prosecute people. California has an initiative on the ballot today to reverse the damage that she's done by letting people just take almost $1,000 in goods and just walk out and not be prosecuted. That's why stores are all closing in California. She's put so much damage. So the way to run this race, and to me it comes down to really two states, Pennsylvania and Georgia. If I was President Trump, I would go just on policy. There's no greater contrast than to run against the most liberal person there. He has a record that secured the border, made us economically and stronger than instead of bringing inflation. We didn't have war in Europe. We were stronger around the world. It could be a runaway race if he stuck to policy.
All right, so former President Trump nearly murdered, and then what almost never happens, which is a unified Republican convention. And it looked like what you just said, a potential landslide. But now the polls have tightened, and it makes, I think, our viewers wonder what happened in the interim.
Well, they're most worried about the Democratic Party was about to crater, where they would lose everything. It was the Watergate. And remember, Kamala Harris is at the tip of that. She had lied to the American people for the last 4 years on where physically and mentally President Biden was at. Every time I went out after a meeting saying the type of Biden I met with was not the same one, she criticized us. She criticized that special counsel looking at him when he put something forward. So we've watched that she knew, but she hid and she lied to the American public. Now that Biden is out, the Democrats have supplied her with a lot of money. The polls have come back up that it's a tight race. Remember, the last presidential race, Joe Biden only won by 48,918 votes. So it is very tight. Either party can win here. But if it's really run about policy, do you want the border secure? Economics. Every day people go to the grocery store and your prices are higher, you thank Kamala Harris for that. They brought you this. When you look around the world, 5 embassies had to be evacuated. We looked at Putin invaded another country. That never happened under President Trump, the only president that Putin never invaded another country under. So I think just running clearly on the record, it can get back to a runaway race.
All right, we're focused on the top of the ticket. You spent about 2 decades crisscrossing the country for some House members with short memories. Kicking Biden to the curb doesn't just change the presidential race, it also impacts down-ballot races, including swing districts in California and New York. I mean, I think it's important our viewers know that the Republicans have the majority not because of South Georgia, not because of South Carolina, but California and New York. That's what provides the majority that the Republicans currently have.
You're correct. And Trey, you know this. In the last 2 election cycles, Republicans lost the presidency. They lost the Senate both times. They lost governors and legislature. But you know the one place we did not lose? We won in California and New York, but we won both cycles in Congress. When I became the minority leader, Nancy Pelosi became Speaker. And in those 2 cycles, do you know that we picked up 5 more seats in California? And this is when Biden won the election. by California more than 5 million. No Republican lost. No Republican since 1994, when Biden ran 4 years ago, lost re-election. That hasn't happened since 94. But remember, when you think about this, we run in Arizona, we won in Oregon. We can win in places no one thought, and we did it by electing the most Republican women, the most minority Republicans we have. The quality of the candidate matters. Stick to the policies, and we will actually gain seats and win the Senate as well.
Speaker Kevin McCarthy, thank you for your service to our country. It was wonderful seeing you last night. You must be doing well outside of politics. You've never offered to pick up the tab before for anything, so you must be very successful in your new career. But it was wonderful to see you. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Trey.